Welcome everybody to another World of Tanks replay. My name is Maxwell and this replay is from the user Hannibal67 and he's driving the T37 on an encounter battle on Prokhorovka. T37 obviously a tier 6 light tank for the Americans, so going to go ahead and do what light tanks do, especially on Prokhorovka when you spawn in the north, which is move all the way to the number 1 line and set himself up in the bushes there. I did make a guide video about 3 years ago showing you the best scouting locations on various maps, and this was one of the most successful ones, was this little set of bushes here, because from here you're blocked all the way from the front and then you've got a horrendous amount of cover from the left hand side, meaning that even if somebody comes all the way up that track, as long as you don't move too much off fire, you're going to remain pretty much invisible for the duration of the game. You can see a leopard moving up and trying to get in position as well. Obviously not got Sixth Sense, or else he'd have realised he's been... Oh, maybe his Sixth Sense goes off now? No, it would have went off a long time ago, but he's spotted. I'm just surprised that none of the Allied team has opened fire just yet. You would have assumed that if they saw a T37 moving to E1, that they would have moved up behind him to offer some support, but no. Everybody lagging woefully far behind. Nobody having fired just about yet. There's a Jagdtiger 88 moving up now, prime target, as he's presenting all of his side armour. And then the Allied team finally opens up. They're going for the Leopard first. He's taking a couple of hits, but not taking any damage. Which is very surprising. Now he starts to take some damage. He's going to explode. Jagdtiger continuing to move up. Now he starts taking damage through the side. Scout replays tend to be a little bit slow to start, just because at the start of a game, especially on a map like Prokhorovka, you really should be in a spotting position, like Hannibal is doing here. Just keeping eyes on the Jagdtiger, who's not quite in enough cover. And like I said, this is kind of just free experience as long as you get some support from your Allied team. Because all Hannibal67's done here is he's made sure he's got to the bush early enough, and he's just going to spot everybody who comes through. Just have to be a little bit careful about this Hellcat that's coming up on the left-hand side. But like I said, with the ridiculous amount of bushes on the left-hand side, he's probably going to be fairly safe there. The Jagdtiger has fallen. He's moving back all the way to the red line here, just to make sure he can give himself the maximum amount of cover if he does need to fire, which he does decide to fire. Hellcat disappears. He decides that he may not have retained his cover, but to be honest, I think he probably was still stealthed there at that point. But going to move forward to defend against the Hellcat. Don't want him to push over the top now. He's in this little divot in the terrain all by himself. So Hannibal's going to be able to easily come over the top and just take him out. That was a very nice kill, number 1. Gets a couple of hits on that Hellcat to take him out. Still got a lot of forces on the number 2 line, so he's going to drive back a little bit and try and retake his position, giving the bushes a wide berth so that he can come at them from the rear. You want to try and keep bushes between yourself and your opponent, so driving all the way back allowed him to move forward while keeping the bushes between him and the enemy tanks. Now going to see if he can find some of these other tank destroyers that are hiding right in the back there. They are well within his spotting range, so if they make a move or fire, they are going to get spotted. It's just a case of being patient. Moves forward just to try and increase his chances here. Nobody flashing up just yet. Does have an IS in the centre, but again, he's safe from him. And now we play the waiting game and see if one of those tank destroyers or both will make a mistake. There we go. The Su-152 starts to move forward. Now he starts to move back again as he realises he's been spotted, but he's hopefully going to get pounded before he can get away, and he does indeed. The Su-152 possibly returned fire. He hasn't got very many hit points, so Hannibal just decides to try and take him out himself, which he does for kill number 2. Enemy team's pushing quite hard through the centre now, so Hannibal's going to drop all the way back. There's no artillery in this game, or else we may have had some artillery behind here. Not really sure what that Rheinmetall was thinking he was going to achieve there, as he can't fire straight forwards because he was behind cover. So really he was kind of relying on his team to lose a little bit for the tanks to come forward. But this Rheinmetall is absolutely doomed now. There's going to be nothing he can do. He's just going to get feasted upon. And he gets taken out by the ISU 152. And like I said, there's no artillery in this battle, or else they probably might have been camped around the 1 and 2 line. As it is, there isn't anybody else here. The Rheinmetall will have been the last guy on this flank, which means that Hannibal has now got free rein to just sit here with the bushes between himself and the centre and just lay shot after shot into the tanks in the middle. You can see he doesn't do very much alpha damage, but he does reload very, very quickly. The penetration on the gun is decent enough to go through the side armour of a heavy tank. Just getting let down a little bit by his gun depression. Just going to focus on this Tiger 2 to push him all the way out of the skirmish there. There is still an IS and a KV-85 in the middle, so Hannibal's going to come forwards a little bit. Just allow his binoculars to kick back in. Doesn't really want to fire at the IS just yet, but was keeping eyes on him. Just remember, if you spot an enemy tank and somebody else does damage to them, you get a percentage of the experience and credits that they would have earned as well. Now going to try and put some shots on this KV-85. It looks like as long as he can keep eyes on him, this KV-85 is not going to be able to get away. The Tiger 2 comes back into view now. And so going to focus back on this guy as he's got low amount of hit points, and he's probably the bigger threat out of the KV-85 and the Tiger 2. He gets wiped out. Now going to move his attention to this KV-85. And unless, there we go, he fades away. Which is very surprising for a KV-85 considering there is no cover. No bushes between himself. But if we have a look, the KV-85 only has about 270 hit points, which is 3 good shots from Hannibal to be able to take him out. He may have landed one in the fog as well. Nope, he didn't, but he's going to move in anyway. Hannibal's still on full health, loses a little bit of health, sets the KV-85 on fire, and that is him taken out. Now he's going to move up and try and do something about some of these medium tanks that are in the cap circle. The problem with that is the rest of the enemy team is up on the hill. And there is still 3 minutes on the cap clock. So Hannibal just keeping eyes on the Object 416 and continuing to move on. Doesn't want to take any shots from the hill. Because the guys up there will be able to absolutely wreck his day. Object 416 stubbornly refusing to leave the cap circle. But that's probably for the best. Because to be honest, with 3 big guns up on the hill, if anybody does try and assault the capture base, the guys on the hill are just going to be able to absolutely obliterate them, because the Object 416 will keep them spotted. Object 416 doesn't have very many hit points himself, so if everybody goes at him at the same time, the hill might not be able to help him before he dies. If they can take him out, they're going to have a much better time of this. There we go. You see Hannibal saying in the chat, just give me a minute, I'm going to go and light up the hill. What he means is he's going to get to the top of the hill and find the enemy tanks. As you're about to see, he makes a great choice here. Instead of crossing over the train tracks at the point where he is now, he decides to drive all the way to the red line. One of the best tactics in the game to keep yourself hidden, one of the best helpers of stealth, is actually distance in this game. The further away you are from an enemy tank, the harder it is for them to spot you. So by Hannibal moving all the way down to the red line and then crossing the train tracks, he's keeping the maximum amount of distance between himself and the guys on the hill. If he'd crossed at the road, anybody looking in this direction may have been able to spot him, and then even if they weren't able to get a killing shot on him, they would have known that he was coming and they would have been lying in wait. As it is, he crossed all the way at the bottom of the map, keeping the maximum amount of distance between himself and the hill. That just means that he's not likely to get spotted as he comes up. So everybody should be set up and ready. Comes over the top, finds the ARL-44. ARL-44 was already looking in this direction, so maybe they were just expecting him to come this way. But they've got a few seconds to keep him lit up. The ARL-44 is taking his gun off target. Everybody's facing this way now, and this is going to be bad news for them. Hannibal just keeping them all spotted. He has everybody spotted now. The AMX 5100, the Jagdpanther 2. Jagdpanther 2 staring in this direction. He's fired and missed. Object 416 gets taken out as well. Hannibal's going to try and do some damage to this Jagdpanther 2, but he gets taken out as well, and that is the end of the game and a well-deserved victory. So awesome gameplay there by Hannibal67, showing his skills in a light tank. Not doing a great amount of damage himself, only 2,000 and getting 3 kills. But as I think you'll see on the score screen, he gets a hell of a lot of spotting damage and a fantastic amount of base XP. So thank you very much for sending that replay in. Don't forget, guys, if you've got yourself a great replay, send it to the email address on the screen or in the description. I have been Maxwell. It's been a World of Tanks replay, and I'll catch you guys next time.